You've been telling yourself the same explanation for years. That you're afraid of failing, that you don't want to risk disappointment, that you're just being careful with your energy and your expectations. It sounds reasonable, even mature. It gives you a clean story you can live with. But if failure were really the thing stopping you, your life would look very different. You would still be moving. You would still be experimenting, adjusting, recovering, trying again. Failure happens after action, after exposure, after you've already crossed the line into doing something that could be judged. What stops you shows up much earlier than that. It appears in the exact moment when your intention could become visible to someone else. When thinking turns into action, when preparation turns into effort, when the thing you care about stops being private and starts existing in the open. That is where your body tightens, your breath shortens, and something inside you quietly says, "Not yet." Not because you're about to fail, but because you're about to be seen trying. That kind of fear is subtle, and that's why it's so powerful. It doesn't scream. It doesn't panic. It simply creates a gentle, convincing resistance that feels like logic, caution, or timing, while slowly keeping you exactly where you are. And once you recognize that feeling, you start to see it everywhere. Failure has an ending. It gives you a conclusion, a story you can wrap up and eventually move on from. You can explain it to yourself and to others, file it away as experience, and let time soften the edges. Trying does not offer that closure. When you're trying, you're unfinished. You're visible without results, present without proof, exposed in the middle of something that hasn't justified itself yet. People can see your effort long before they see your competence, and that gap is deeply uncomfortable if you care about how you're perceived. Try means someone could watch you struggle in real time. They could see you hesitate, repeat yourself, get it wrong, improve slowly, or not improve at all for a while. There's no narrative protection there, no outcome to hide behind, just process. And for many people, process feels more humiliating than failure. So you delay. You keep refining the plan, waiting for more confidence, more clarity, more skill, telling yourself that once you feel ready enough, you'll finally begin. But readiness never fully arrives because what you're actually waiting for is a way to try without being exposed. And that doesn't exist. Here's the layer that's hardest to admit. You're not only afraid of being seen failing. You're afraid of being seen wanting something badly and not immediately deserving it. Somewhere along the way, you absorb the idea that effort is embarrassing unless it wins quickly. That caring openly makes you look naive. That if you invest yourself fully and it doesn't work out, you won't just lose, you'll look foolish for believing. So you learn to protect yourself by appearing detached. You downplay what matters to you, keep your goals vague, joke about not really trying, or frame your ambitions as casual interests rather than serious commitments. On the outside, it looks like confidence or indifference, but inside it's restraint. This creates a constant internal split. You feel a genuine pull towards something meaningful, while simultaneously suppressing the part of you that wants to be seen reaching for it. Maintaining that split takes energy, and over time, effort itself starts to feel unsafe. Not because of the work, but because of what the work would reveal. If you're thoughtful or self-aware, this fear often hides behind intelligence. You tell yourself you're being strategic, that you're waiting for better conditions, that you don't want to waste time on the wrong move. These explanations sound responsible, even wise, and they're difficult to argue with from the outside. But notice the pattern underneath. You feel most confident when no one is watching. Your clarity peaks when effort remains private, when the idea stays in your head or on paper. The moment consistency would make your attempt visible, hesitation rushes in. That's not a coincidence. Your mind is protecting your image during the moment. If your identity is tied to looking capable, composed, or sharp, that stage feels threatening. So your intelligence steps in as a defense mechanism. It generates reasons to wait, to rethink, to optimize, to delay just a little longer. Not because starting is wrong, but because being seen starting feels intolerable. And slowly, very convincingly, time passes. Eventually, something becomes impossible to ignore. You realize you don't actually quit after failing. You quit right before effort becomes visible, right before staying would force you to be seen in the uncomfortable middle of learning and growing. That realization lands heavily because it reframes everything. It means the fear was never about outcomes. It was about exposure, about identity, about protecting the version of yourself that appears competent and unaffected. But protecting that image has a cost. You never collect evidence of who you could become, because evidence only comes from staying visible long enough for growth to happen. Potential remains intact, but unrealized, and over time that unrealized potential starts to feel like a quiet regret. Not sharp, not dramatic, just persistent. This is where the shift actually happens. Not when the fear disappears, and not when you suddenly feel confident. It happens when you name the fear accurately and stop letting it pretend to be something else. You're not afraid of failing. You're afraid of being seen while you're still figuring things out. Once you see that, the fear loses some of its authority. It doesn't vanish, but it stops making decisions for you. You allow yourself to be visible without being impressive. You let effort exist before results, and you stay even when it feels awkward, slow, or underwhelming. Not because it's comfortable, but because hiding has stopped feeling sustainable. That's when progress becomes real. Not loud, not glamorous, not immediately rewarding, but grounded. You start building courage, resilience, and self-respect, not by winning, but by remaining present in the process. You stop protecting an image and start building a life that doesn't require one. You were never afraid of failure. You were afraid of being seen trying. And once you allow yourself to cross that line, imperfectly and honestly, something stabilizes inside you. You finally have somewhere to stand. From there, you don't just begin things. You stay.